Welcome, everybody, to How to Self-Publish Your Memoir. We are here today with Rod Sanford, David Hern, both Rod. I'm going to introduce you first. Rod Sanford has built a faithful following for 2 mystery series and won awards for his journalism writing. He is also an insurance investigator with over 20 years of handling cases worth over 75 million. I can imagine how many story ideas you get handling insurance cases, Rod. I can only imagine. His story ideas come from all walks of life, and once conceived, they nag at his psyche and keep him up at night until they are published. I think as writers, we can all relate to this. He is the author of 14 books spanning multiple genres, including his memoir. His Teak, Mannion, and Dying Hard series are filled with unforgettable characters, unlikely partnerships, and Rod's experiences as an investigator. He has a passion for training and mentoring writers in their literary journeys. It's a symbiotic relationship where we learn from each other, and Rod is one of our experts here at Prolific Writers Life. He offers workshops, and we'll drop that in the chat a little bit later. But Rod, thank you so much for being here and generously sharing your tips about your journey publishing your memoir. So tell us a little bit about what that was like, Rod.
Sure. No, thank you. And it's my biggest thing that I hope we do before the end of the hour is to kind of demystify KDP. It really is probably one of the best things Amazon has ever done in order to empower the individual creator. My I've been writing for well over 20 years, publishing well over 20 years, but writing my whole life since I was about 10, 11, 12 years old. And so I was going to write. Went through some of the traditional query letter, run around that a lot of writers go through. And, many years subscribing to Writer's Digest and getting large compendium of, publishers and going through that. And then digital publishing came along. And I've done work with another digital publisher, and then kind of stumbled across KDP's predecessor, CreateSpace. You may, if you're kind of new to KDP and digital publishing, you may see that term out there, but it's just the grandfather to KDP. KDP was the new generation. It was more flexible. It allowed you and allows you to get into this deal at whatever financial level you want to do, and I think that's great, very empowering. So as Lorraine says, I've published over 14 books, including my memoir, Balance, Patience, and Faith, and all of it has been self-published through most of them through KDP, some through its predecessor, CreateSpace. And I just hope over the course of this hour we kind of demystify and kind of empower you to go in there, set up your account, even though you don't have your book finished. Set up your account, set up your background, and become a living, breathing member of the KDP community.
Fantastic. Yeah, and I like, Rod, how you simplify for that for us, and you make it sound easy, because sometimes when you're, stepping into something you've done for the first time, you're trying to do for the first time, there's a lot of questions and a lot of mysteries, and sometimes authors don't even know what to ask. So I really like how you simplify it for everybody, and yeah, it's just very empowering. And so I did drop into the chat. Rod wrote a blog article, The Fastest Way to Self-Publish Your Book with Kindle Direct Publishing. So you can take a look at that blog article if you want. Let's hear from Dave. So David Hern, he is our resident actor, playwright, screenwriter, author. So Dave Hern, a Prolific Writers Life member, is an actor and writer and author of How Not to Make It in Hollywood, a comedic journey through his decade in Los Angeles. Dave is featured in the movie Thirsty, one of his most recent movies, Thirsty, with Kira Sedgwick. So Dave, why did you write a memoir, and why did you decide to self-publish?
Well, I have to give Prolific Writers Life a lot of credit here at the top because I sort of stumbled in the front door one day. And I'm proud to be the test case in this mix because being primarily an actor with this heavy second rail as a writer, I really didn't know what I was writing when I started off. I've been a writer of plays and screenplays, and I had various and sundry ideas that I was scribbling, but I really didn't know what I was doing. So once I clicked in with Prolific Writer's Life and started interfacing with other writers about what they're doing and how they're doing it and how they approach the process, that I finally found the voice and realized I was writing a book and not a play, and began that process from there. So major kudos to Prolific Writer's Life. So in this mix today, I am sort of, Rod has sort of led the way in that he's a seasoned publisher of his works. This is my first published book, so I went through every step in the test case. So I'm patient X, I guess, in the mix.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting, Dave, is you know, IBPA, the Independent Book Publishers Association, will say that there is self-publishing your book, and then there's the author-publisher, right? I would say that, Rod, you are probably truly self-published in that you do, well, you hire an editor, but you've even uploaded your books to Amazon, to Kindle. Do you do the formatting too, or do you get somebody else to do formatting?
I've done it both ways. You know, I've done formatting myself. Most of the time I pay to have it done, but there are, you know, and this is a little beyond the scope of this session, but as you get into the, you know, just like with anything, the more you use KDP and all the things associated with it, the more of an expert you become. So now the last 3 books we've done, we formatted them ourselves, and because there's new tools that are out now that make it super easy. And I know that's easy for me to say because I've done it a lot. Believe me, it's getting easier every year.
Well, and we love having your expertise in the community, Rod, for people who have questions like that, to not fear going forward with that. So I would say, Rod, you are probably closer to self-publishing, meaning that you've already done some of your own formatting, you've done your own uploading. I mean, you do get help with editing, but Dave, your story is a little different. I think you hired an editor and you hired somebody to do the formatting, and then so self-publishing doesn't always mean that you do every single step by yourself, right? How do you
Most definitely. Yeah, please. That which you either A, don't do well, or can't do, yeah, hire it for sure.
I found the editor that I was looking for through the Editorial Freelancers Association, which is a free online service. At EFA.org, there's a searchable database of hireable editors. And I went shopping for an editor until I found the one that seemed to understand the material, and that's who I went with. And she was terrific. I would highly recommend that as a resource for looking for an editor.
Yeah, and just to clarify, Dave, when you say it's a free resource, that means as a writer, you can go in and search for an editor. Those editors are members of that organization. And then, of course, once you check all their boxes and find the right editor, then, of course, you pay for their service for editing and everything. But it is a really good way to narrow down and finding the right type of editor for your book.
I was very lucky. The one I found was sharp as a tack, found everything, was completely on top of the manuscript. I lucked out.
Rod, I know you wrote this blog article with all sorts of things related to publishing, and Dave, you also wrote your whole perspective. Dave, what kind of editor was yours? Developmental, copy, etc.
Oh, when you go into the database, you check off a whole bunch of boxes of what type of editor, what category, manuscript, for what purpose. Do you want just a copy editor? You can choose what level you want. Then it searches the database. and brings up a list of people according to your requirements or specifications. It's really, really good.
So was yours just doing copy editing, Dave?
Mine was, yeah, she went a little further than that. I mean, she actually made, you know, suggestions of certain wordage in a few parts, but every suggestion was right on the ball too. So that helps. It helps when you have an editor that is responsive to the material you're presenting to them, as opposed to just somebody reading away at something. If they're engaged in and they find it interesting, they'll do the best job with it.
Yeah, that just real quick on editing. What was the name of the resource, David, that you use?
EFA, the
EFA.
Editorial Freelancers Association, and
And
it's efa.org.
EFA. So, and I use another similar to that. They're a commercial group, but it's similar in makeup in that it's a collection of editors, freelance editors, and then you answer kind of a tick sheet about what you need, and then they kind of bubble up these editors work best for you. I highly recommend that as you're looking for editors to go through a resource like that, a collective like that, as opposed to interviewing individual editors on your own, so that you find that editor that edits your kind of piece. I have early on, I had experiences where textbook editors were editing my fiction piece, and they really just didn't understand. Or either one of my murder mystery series is an African American murder mystery series, so there's a lot of colloquialisms and verbiage indigenous to the African American culture, and when if you have an editor that's not used to that, doesn't understand that, has no experience with that, then your editing becomes mismatched. So going through a collective like this, where you kind of talk about what your piece is like, what it's about, helps match you up with the right person. I highly recommend.
Before we deep dive too much into specifically editing, can we just talk about what are the high level steps of self-publishing? And this is self-publishing a memoir, but most of these steps would be applicable whether you're publishing a memoir or whatever else. But what are some of the high level steps that we have to go through here?
Well, my first level step always is to be my own editor first and foremost. Clean up the draft as much as I possibly can before turning it over to an editor. I mean, spelling, punctuation, the way your columns are, how it looks, everything, get it as clean and proofed as you are able to before you turn it over to an editor. So I would say that's always step one. Clean up your draft.
Yeah, I would agree. You want what you turn over to the editor to be as clean as you can possibly make it. And we've had conversations on prolific writers about beta readers and things like that. If you have someone you trust who's going to read it and catch things, run it through them too. Just to have it as clean as possible. Because what you want is for the editor you're paying, you don't want them to get bogged down in common errors like commas and periods. You want as much of that to be so that they focus on other things. And David talked about it, where even though you're doing line editing, that's basically punctuation, grammar, you want their mind to be free, where if they see someone that you killed in chapter 2 is walking around in chapter 7, whoops, they'll catch that. They can't catch that if you just turned in a really, really unfinished piece and they've got to go almost line by line correcting things. If you can, so yeah, as clean as possible is really important. And we're talking about in KDP, the biggest things, and we'll talk, but get your KDP account set up. And it starts like any other account, an Amazon account. And, go in there and they're going to ask you your name, your address, your phone. And if you're planning to sell books, they're going to ask you certain things like, what bank account, like all those royalties you're going to make, what bank account. So there's some information like that. Go ahead and get that set up. Get that set up, because once you're in the KDP system, then they start feeding you things like, hey, you may want to go to this class or go to that class, because KDP does have, it's called KDP University, where they have videos and instruction to help you through it.
So we've talked a lot about editing, but what are some of the other big steps you have to go through to self-publish that book? So we didn't even talk about, first we have to write the book, then
Yeah.
we do some editing, right?
Yeah, that's a good, very important first
Yeah.
step.
Yeah.
Write
Yeah.
a book first.
Yeah. And so, yeah. So
Remember,
this
boys
is a
and
big,
girls.
yeah. This is a big thing with me, Lorraine, because I see so many, like this weekend I'm going to a book fair, and every time I'm at one of these book fairs, there's people that come up, I have this idea and it's kind of handwritten in my head. Da, 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 da. And you live with these ideas for years and years and years, and it feels like it's real. But it's not real until you finally write it. I mean, even in its most funkiest of forms, written is done. When you finally finish that first draft, I always tell people it's a living, breathing thing now. It's a living, breathing thing. It's a newly born child. Now you have to develop that child, teach it how to walk and talk and put clothes on it. That's how this. So yeah, finish the book. Finish it. Not get it out of your head and into the. I always say on the paper, but I mean that metaphorically. Because a lot of it is virtual. Yeah, finish the book. And then of course the editing process. Once you get it to the point where it's fully professionally edited, then you're able to start to you're ready to upload it to KDP. This is the beauty about KDP. KDP, when you publish a book, it's a combination of money and time and energy. The more you use of one, the less you need of the other. The less you use of one, the more you need. So there are still people out there that will tell you, give me, and I'll use this for easy arithmetic, $2,000, and give me your unfinished, script, manuscript, and I'll get it on KDP for you. So there's still people out there that will do that for you. But a lot of this stuff you can do yourself. Once you get it edited. So once it's edited, and a lot of times the editor will also format it for you. So for an extra fee, and it doesn't cost that much more, they will edit it and format it. Get it in. And what is formatting means, if you're going to write a book that's in, I think I do mine in 6x9 paperback. So they're going to put it in 6x9 format, right? So that it looks really nice. Then you're ready to upload it. And most editors will, when they edit it and format it, they're going to give it to you in the form that it needs to be in. So to upload it to KDP, it needs to be in now I'm drawing a blank. You know what I mean? Where you can't edit it.
Oh, like a PDF.
Thank you. PDF. God, I was drawing a blank. Thank you. Yeah, it needs to be in PDF form. So you got it written. You got it professionally edited and formatted. Now you're uploading it, and they will look at it to make sure that it's good. If it's not, they'll write you back. Like I said, you can't break it. If there's something wrong with the file, or the file isn't quite right, they'll kick it back to you and tell you, hey, this isn't, whatever. Then the book cover. The piece about book covers, despite the saying that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, books are judged by their covers. And I think David has one of the best ones. I love his cover with the Hollywood sign.
Oh, wait,
and him
blurring. I'm blurring there.
Yeah, it's
doesn't work. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best.
I was lucky in that I had an artist friend who did the mock-up for me, and it was beautiful. He measured it out. All I had to do was upload it. It was amazing. So that's what I would recommend. Have a really good artist friend who'll do a top-notch cover for you.
And right. And so when you go on KDP, like I said, it'll let you get into the publishing game as inexpensive or expensive as you want. They have book cover templates where you can go in there and just punch in the title of your book by Rod Sanford. It's got some colors and some nondescript pictures, and bam, you got a book. Nobody's going to probably notice it because it's not that great. So yeah, that's in addition to editing, you want to invest some money in a good book cover artist. But that being said, there's zillions of them out there, and the price is very economical. I think the going rate now for a really good book cover, maybe somewhere between, depending on the person, anywhere between $100 to $300. It is money well spent. So you get the book cover done, and you upload that. It has to be in JPEG. And once you uploaded the manuscript formatting and the book cover in JPEG, there's a couple of other questions they ask you about in terms of how much you want to sell the book for, and they guide you through it. It's like, if you sell it for $10, this will be how much your royalty is. If you sell it for $5, this is how much your royalty will be. And so once you get through those, and it's just step by step, and at the end it'll be like, are you ready to publish? Bam. And it'll tell you your book has been submitted, and within 72 hours, it'll either go live or you'll get a notice about something you need to change. Usually, if you've gotten to the point where you get the 72-hour notice, you're usually good to go because it's already going through a preliminary check for big errors. If you get the notice saying, hey, we're going to look at it one more time in 72 hours, you'll usually be good to go. And man, at that point, and it has never taken 72 hours for any of my books. Within about a day and a half, bam, you'll get the email that says, hey, your book is live. And you are a published author. It's out there in the world, and the world is forever changed because your book's out there.
And it feels pretty good.
Yeah,
Just
it does.
feeling like it. I got a book out there. Yes, indeed.
I've done it.
Anyone to buy.
I've done it. I've done it 15, 16 times. It is literally the best day of my year. The day one of my books.
You make it sound as easy as publishing a blog article, Rod.
I will tell you, it is so, they've made it, and you got to remember this one thing. It is very easy. It's unfamiliar, so it'll take you some time, but it is very easy, and it's meant to be, because Amazon didn't create KDP because they just believe in authors and they want to be part of that. I mean, that's probably the third or fourth reason. The number one reason is the more books they have out there, the more money they make. It's, so they're going to make, they have a financial incentive to make it as easy for you as they can. So.
Yeah. So Paula had a question here about, uploading and the whole formatting thing. So let's come back to, so we talked about uploading, but let's just take that step back to kind of the whole formatting and uploading. So obviously the reason we format a book is because we want all the beginnings of the chapters maybe to fall on a right page versus the left page. The table of contents, different things have to be in certain places, and you don't want what they call the orphans, one little straggler sentence to be on a next page. So all that formatting, there are tools like Vellum, but you can also hire a professional. So Dave, I think you hired a company to do your formatting. And so Paula's question is, did you upload to KDP in Word, Google Docs, or another format? The answer is another format for sure. And so let's talk about that, Dave. So talk about your book format.
I went with a company in Australia on the other side of the globe. And the only hitch in that was the time delay. Most of the times you had to communicate by email and you wouldn't get a response till the following day. So that was a little trying, but they were extremely professional. They give you, when you are done, a full publishable versions of your book. So in my case, I have an EPUB document, which is for like Apple books, what's called a KPF document, which is the format for KDP. And I also have each of them as a PDF. Now your cover needs to be in a PDF format in order for it to be uploaded to KDP. I may be jumping the gun on that, but just noticed that. So pass that along. Um, oh, KDP also has available physical formatting templates that are available. So I just took one of their templates, gave it to my friend. He made the specs according to the template. Piece of cake. Like Rod was saying, you almost can't go wrong once you're inside the KDP infrastructure. They keep pointing you in the right direction. So it's yeah, it's an efficient system. Um, you have to shop for formatters. I went with Polgaris just because they were the cheapest. Period. They were you couldn't beat their price. The price you pay was the communication part of it. But others are still relatively cheap that are a little bit closer. And Dave's tip, you have to police your manuscript, even when it's in the hands of your editor or your formatter, because they don't know what's on your mind. They're trying their best with what you give them. Mm-hmm. So I found that I had to police the document itself pretty thoroughly from beginning to end, both through the editing process and through the formatting process, as well as a final proof when it was all done. So I guess that would be my little sort of word of wisdom in this thing.
David, did you get your edited piece back with the track, with all the changes, with the track?
Yes.
Changes?
Yes. Yeah. Correct. She sent it back to me with a track document in Word in the original document. Yeah.
So you saw every change she made?
Everything. Yeah.
Good.
Even a space or a dash, anything. Yeah.
That's always good. Yeah. My experience with formatting is, my advice would be, right now, a lot of editors are also doing formatting. So once you decide on an editor, a professional editor that you're going to use through one of these collectives that you're going to search through, either EFA or another one, ask them in the early stages, can you format it as well? And they will tack on a formatting fee at the end. I've had that done the last, probably not the last 2 or 3, because I formatted it myself. But before then, yeah, the editor actually did it for me. And a lot of professional editors are doing that, basically to make more money. They figured out they can do it pretty quickly. So that's what I would do. And that's the first place I would look in terms of that. Yeah, and yeah, David brings up a good point about policing, because, like I said, you're going to give them a very clean, manuscript. So they're going to have little suggestions about it. I don't know if this was really clear. Sometimes it's not grammar or punctuation. It's this. I'm not sure what you're trying to say, or maybe this is a little wordy. Maybe you need to reword it.
Yeah, that's the best kind of editor.
Yeah, exactly.
And they'll tell you that. Maybe you want to word it like this.
Exactly. Yeah. And sometimes, and almost every editing job, and give you an idea, most of my books are about 60,000 words. So in every one of those, the editor will make a suggestion or two that I won't take. I'll be like, nope, keeping it the way I want it. And it's usually surrounding some kind of word choice phraseology that technically is wordy or redundant, but I just like the sexiness of it. So you have that freedom. When David talks about policing your manuscript, that's kind of what he's alluding to.
Yeah, and Rod, I think you just pointed out one of the #1 reasons why a lot of people, actually, there are probably a couple main reasons why people choose to self-publish. #1, it's faster, but what you just mentioned is you've got a lot of control of your book that you give up if you send it, if you're doing more traditional publishing, even if you're with well, I don't know, it depends, but certainly with traditional publishing,
Oh, yeah.
you could end up with a cover you don't like. I've heard of authors that they hate the cover.
Yeah.
But the if they wanted to, you know, if they got an advance, they have to do that cover, or they might even change their title. And yeah, and I thought
Yeah,
it was neat. We just had an author recently publish a blog article on Prolific Writer's Life, and he had a book traditionally published. This was Mike Engelhardt, I believe, and he was talking about how they trust me. They gave me an advance for writing a 90,000 word book, but they don't trust me for those few words on the title, right? It's
right.
like,
Yeah. Yeah, I talk with and meet with, and I'm in writers clubs with a lot of traditionally published writers that are under contract with Penguin Audio or Schuster or what have you. And one of the things they almost consistently talk about is two things. One, their constant fight, to not lose their identity with their piece once they submit it to the corporation. And number two is the fact that they have to spend as much time, if not more, marketing their book as I do. As a self publisher, in terms of number of interviews and number of emails and number of social media uh, pieces. I mean, they still, all of that still kind of falls on the individual writer. The companies do a certain amount of it, but they're doing it for them and for you and the other 200 writers on their list. If you want to kind of individualize yourself, distinguish yourself, that's on you.
yeah. We have another question in here. I'm using Scrivener with my manuscript. It can output PDFs. Does anyone else use Scrivener? Any experience with Scrivener, Dave or Rod?
No.
Oh, Rod, you're muted.
Oh, Rod, you lost you.
Sorry. Yeah, I've seen it and I've gone to like classes on how to use it and everything, but I don't really have experience with it. But I've heard of a number of people that do use it. It's widely used. And it does give you that ability to put once you finish it in Word or what have you, put it in other formats, which you have to in order to upload it. Right now, I'm using either it comes back from my editor already in PDF, and I also have a PDF converter that I use and probably pay too much money every month for
Mm,
to get to convert things into different formats. Yeah, no, I mean Scrivener is widely used. A lot of people use it.
There's another one too. The name's escaping me at the moment. Like Scrivener, it's a paginator formatter online service. Paginator or something like that. Can't remember.
yeah, and I think there's a tool called Vellum where you can use
Oh,
that
that's
to
the
up.
one I was thinking of. Thank you. Thank you for being telepathic there.
Yeah, and it's like if you use Vellum, that's great. I've not used the tool, but there's still certain things, industry knowledge that if you don't have, you could still make some mistakes probably even with these tools. I'm sure they've got some built-in AI with them and whatnot. But with anything, I think it's always good to run it by somebody else. Now, one thing to kind of talk about is how many different kinds of book formats are there, right? Because there's paperback, hardbacks, there's the EPUB,
Mhm.
and then if you have an audio book. So what are some of those different types of formats? Rod, you might have a
Yeah,
little bit more.
yeah. So I publish everything I write in paperback and in Kindle, right? So Kindle is here to stay, and it's got a huge following, and some genres do better in it than others. I think, but maybe, but I think that's even going away because I think that Kindle has got such a foothold. It's found its audiences across all genres. Um, when you do uh, when you do your book and you use a professional editor, and David alluded to it, you're going to get it back in these different formats that allow you to publish in paperback. And this is not specialty now. This is not because Rod's done a whole bunch, but all editors do this. And if they're not, you shouldn't use that editor because it's very simple it must be very easy for them to do it. When they send your unit, your deal back, it's coming back and it's formatted. This is a part of the formatting. It's coming back to you in PDF form to upload for paperback. And is it EPUB, David? That's
EPUB is the one
EPUB.
that Apple books, and
Right.
some of the other online book ones.
Right, and it's just in the format that allows it to be an electronic book.
Yeah,
and it's also EPUB will allow you Kindle for the Kindle electronic book as well. And so that's part of the formatting. So you want that. Right now, I only have one book under audio, but that's only because we're right now, RBS Worldwide is trying to decide on, there's still some expense to doing audio because I won't do an AI book, where it's just AI voice. I'm not doing that. I'm using a human voice. And so there's some expense to putting something in on audio because I'm not using my own voice. Nope. So we're making decisions on how soon we want to do that, but we're definitely going to do it. The other thing that I want folks to take a look at, because if you don't do anything else today, if you don't have a Kindle account, a KDP account, between now and a week from now, set up your KDP account. Go on KDP.com and set up your account. Just do that. There's something on there called Kindle Vella, and it's very new. It is very exciting. It's basically, they are allowing you to put your book out. Let's say you have a 20 chapter book and you put it out a half chapter at a time over the course of 6 months. And the way Vella works is you put, or maybe it's a whole chapter, you put that chapter out and people use these tokens to read the chapter. But at the end of every chapter, they're going to be so excited, they're going to want the next chapter, the next chapter. And you get paid by how many pages people read, how many tokens they buy and use on your book. And it's this new wave of getting stuff out there. And I think it's very exciting. I'm working on a book right now that I'm going to put on Kindle Vella before the end of the year. So the point I'm making is, whether it's paperback or Kindle, the Kindle electronic book, or Kindle Vella, or hardback, because it used to be they did very little hardbacks on Amazon. They didn't do it, but now it's like I see it on my when I go into my bookshelf. That's what they call it when you go into KDP. Yeah, they're offering to put all my books in hardback now. So there's the point is, there's the technology is always evolving, and things that used to be kind of hard are not hard anymore. So yeah, think about that.
Yeah, and Rod, you brought up the point about, you don't necessarily want to read your own book, narrate your own book.
Yeah, but that's me.
Yeah. Yeah. But when you write a memoir, it's very personal, and it's worth thinking about if you want to read your book.
I couldn't agree more, Lorraine. I think it's something you should strongly consider in terms of a memoir that you read it. Just it'll practice, do the work, and do that. I think that's very important, right?
The other thing to consider is you only need to be noticed sometimes by one right person, one connection. So I always think about this in life is you're not trying to reach the world necessarily, but if you get one great connection, one chance to be on stage in front of a bunch of people, one chance to be on TV, one chance to be on the right podcast, sometimes that's all it takes to have the right person find you and notice you. So and I always recommend to people, get out on LinkedIn and connect to anybody and everybody anybody who is in your target market, for your what all of your book is about. Connect with those people because you just never know where that one connection is going to go.
just one last thing, Lorraine, and I want to say on this. Yeah, I have written and self-published almost, well, soon to be 15 books. I still struggle with it. It is not second. It's just not second nature. So don't feel bad if that feels uncomfortable or just not you. I still at this great date have to make sure I am emailing and social media posting. It's okay, but it's just that thing that you need to do, and your book is your baby. It deserves that. Your book deserves that. So that's why you put that out there. That's why you put yourself out there and you make that effort because your book deserves it.
Yeah. I did drop the links to Rod's book and Dave's books in Kindle. So that's, I just dropped those in the chat. I think we have another question here. Does KDP offer a print option for sale in bookstores? If so, how can bookstores order your book? This is a good opportunity to talk about ISBNs too.
So they don't, at least in my experience, they don't do it automatically. So when you get into a print book, they offer as part of the publishing. You're going through like I told you, it's a step by step by step process. And one of the steps is, hey, you want an ISBN number? Either you can provide your own. You can get ISBN numbers from a number of different outlets, or you can use theirs. They give it to you for free. It's all part of it, no problem. And I have always just used theirs. But yeah, to get in books, you need that. Now, some people are like, nah, I don't want one, and you'll hear a lot of reasons why, people say they want to use their own, not attached to Amazon. Fine, but I think when you first start out, I think it's a good thing to do. I think so, unless you have some other superior knowledge. But I think it's always good. Now later on, if you find, your fourth, fifth, sixth book that you don't want to use theirs, that's fine, not a big deal. Getting into bookstores, it can be done. Uh, I have not ever seen KDP actually, but if you are at a level where you're selling and you have a certain level of popularity and notoriety and exposure, then yeah, you will start, because the same warehouse that puts books in Walmart and Barnes and Noble is the same place that Amazon stores their books. Ingram is one of them,
Oh,
and so yeah.
Ingram Spark.
Yeah, Eagle Spark
Yeah.
is so yeah, if you're at a level, yeah, you can work to get your self-published books into bookstores. I'm glad that question came up because I thought we talked about it and I didn't want to belabor the point. As you start to look at using KDP, I also think about that because I kept bringing up Simon and Schuster and Penguin Audio and those people. There are a huge amount of small regional publishers and that are very effective and they get their writers in Walmart, in Barnes and Noble, in bookstores. They do a really good job. So if you find yourself in conversations with some of them, um, yeah, don't poo-poo that. And actually I've talked with them on a number of times for projects I have written. Now they won't put once you self-publish and you're connected with them, they won't carry it, your self-published books on KDP. But as you write new stuff, you can get with small regional publishers and things like that. As a matter of fact, I still, as every once in a while, if I do something not connected to my book series, I'll still send out query letters. I still do. See what happens. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, but I won't let that stop me.
And I think related to the ISBN, it is kind of a hurdle. If you want to get into Barnes and Noble or something, you do need to have that ISBN. I don't know what the Amazon ID code is called. Is it just an Amazon?
They
I'm not
call
sure.
it they call it an Amazon ISBN, but it's better to get your own so that you're not, kept inside the Amazon system exclusively.
Yeah.
If you have your own barcode and your own ISBN, it can be sold anywhere.
Yeah. It does make it a little easier to get into the bookstore. So, and let's see, I think there was a follow-up question to that. Oh, maybe this is a comment. I know a self-published book that was picked up by a major traditional publisher, but only after a massive social media campaign by the author. And these massive campaigns, there is no upper limit to how much you can spend to promote your book. There are literally companies out there that will take $100,000 from you and help you to get on the New York Times bestseller, or $150,000. You can absolutely buy your way up there. Most of us don't have that kind of
Such a
fund.
bargain.
Right? So, but you have to I just think you have to be creative. So, and
Yes.
so
No,
with
go ahead.
no, go ahead, Rod.
No, I was just amening. No.
Yeah.
Well, in my case, I did my whole commercial. I did 6 commercials for my book and put them out on YouTube. And and I also just did a science fiction movie that I put out there called Space Parts. So I'm just hoping that, if people connect with those and they get a chuckle out of them, they might want to see what I've written as well. So that's my way of taking my parade on the road.
Yeah, so as I mentioned a few minutes ago, that it's a combination of money and energy and time. Okay, the less you have of one, the more you need to spend of the other. Lorraine talked about being creative, and it's creative and diligent and consistent. So, perfect example, we did a book called, what was it called? Dying Hard. It was part of my African American mystery series. The week it came out, we did literally about $75 in Facebook ads, and no more than that. And then, but that same week, as so the ads are running Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The same week, I'm sending emails out to my email list. So my email list is not that big; it's less than 500 people. But I'm sending emails out every day about the book. Also, those same Monday through that same week, I'm posting on my own Instagram and my Facebook account about the book every day, consistent, diligent, day after day after day. Time, energy. At the end of that week, that book pinged at it was number 150 on Amazon, in the top 500 on Amazon, all African American mysteries.
Wow.
So I tell you that story, that it's a combination. Much money. I mean, if you got, like Lorraine said, if you got 100,000, that you're not using, hey, make it happen. But you don't have to have a lot of money. You do have to be creative, as Lorraine said, be creative, diligent, and consistent, so that algorithm catches you. And then when the algorithm puts you in the top 500 for all of Amazon, that's what you advertise. Hey man, look at me. And then it kind of perpetuates itself. And when we got that, believe me, I took a camera, screenshot of it, put it on everything, and book sales with. So it's diligence, consistency, creativity.
And so let's talk about the money side of it for a minute. Some people choose to self-publish because it's just maybe a lower cost way to get the book out there. What do you budget? What would you say a reasonable budget is for a memoir? Like, let's say all the way from writing, editing, uploading to Amazon, and at least to get that far, to get it up on Amazon. Let's not even talk about marketing at this point. What do you think is a reasonable budget?
Yeah, my book. So my memoir was about 50,000, 55, 60,000 words. So editing runs for me about, at the most, 2 cents a word. So at 60,000 words, that's about $1,200. It's a nice chunk of change, but it is money well spent. Can you get it done for cheaper? Yes. But at 1,200 for 60,000 words, what I'm going to get back is fully edited and formatted and formatted. And so there's that. Then, like I said, the book cover is another couple $100. Book cover. If somebody's charging you $400, $500 for book covers, nah, go someplace else. You can get them for $100 to $200. They're really nice. There's a couple of $100 more for that. So for me to bring a book that I am comfortable with to market is between 12 and 1,500. That's all in. Um, yeah, could I find, like I said, could I find someone to do it cheaper? Yeah, and it'd probably be all right. But I would say between 1,000 and 1,500.
Anything to add to that, Dave?
That's about it. Yeah, that's about the range. Um, Also, I think, I'm getting a sense from what Rod is saying that it's about a sense of comfort too. You got to feel a certain way that the people that you're working with have confidence in what they're doing. I got lucky. I was just shopping randomly for both an editor and a formatter, and I just was very fortunate. Found a really good editor and a really efficient formatter. Um, so you do have to search because it's like anything else. You got to get the right person for the job.
And you were fortunate, Dave, because you had a friend who was a very talented artist
Yeah.
who did your cover for you, right?
Yes. Yes, indeed. Paul Harrod. He's a graphic designer. He's got animated movies on Netflix right now, and
Uh,
he
but I will tell you, one of my best book covers is the book is called Dying Hard in the Big Easy, murder mystery set in New Orleans. The person who did that cover was a kid in graphic design doing his senior project, and my book cover was part of his senior graphic design project. And we paid him something, but it was maybe a couple $100. But it is literally one of the best covers I have of all my titles. It's sexy, it's mysterious. So the point I'm making is, like and I'll say this over and over, it's a combination of money, and time, and energy. If you don't want to spend as much money, then you have to spend more of the other two, and to make up for it. Kind of keep that in mind. Yeah.
Well, we are at the top of the hour. You do have their memoirs there in the chat. We had one more final question. What about POD, print on demand? You know that I don't know if anything specific, I'm not sure what the specific question is. Print on demand, Amazon does print on demand. So
Mhm.
if you said they might have like a backlog of 7 or 8 books in stock, and so I hear that sometimes like you might wait a couple extra days if they're out of stock that way. The
Yeah.
other thing I always wonder about POD is the quality, because you're not getting a gigantic print run, so you always just have to cross your fingers that the person's getting a good, clean copy without smudges, pages that are a little bit out of a line. Occasionally you get one like that, so mistakes can happen, but so we are at the top of the hour, so I am going to close us here. And Dave is a member of Prolific Writers Life. Rod is one of our experts. And Rod, I don't know, maybe Bob, can you drop Rod's store into the chat? Rod hosts every Friday a words count writing session. You can jump in and hear more from him any Friday. Does other sessions from time to time. Todd is also in the house. He's one of our experts who does book cover design, does a lot of design work. So thanks for joining us today, Todd. And so thank you all for being here. I hope you learned a little bit about self-publishing your memoir. And hopefully the number one thing is you know that there's help out there. You don't have to do it all on your own. You can come and join Prolific Writers Life, and you're going to be surrounded by support, encouragement, people to guide you and help you finish your book.
Yes, yes, yes. Birth that baby. Thank
Final.
you, Lorraine. Thank you, Lorraine. I appreciate
Yes,
this.
thank you. That's great.
Awesome. Thank you all for being here, and we'll catch you at the next Prolific Writer's Life Cafe.